Hello and welcome to the Slippy and Thrifty Show. I am Thrifty, and that is.
Slippy,
And how are you doing today, Slippy?
very well, John. How are
What
you?
color shirt are you wearing today?
Black, John. Would you believe it? It's black.
Incredible variance from the last time I saw you. And let me guess, it's the prostate shirt, correct?
Yes, sir. It's one of four
All
T-shirts.
right, fantastic. And I'm wearing a hat as always, and got a beard, and so do you.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah.
So everybody sub.
Same old, same old. Yeah,
Everybody sub because we have beards.
correct.
So what are we going to be talking about today?
Rough Rider knives, and more importantly, our thoughts on Rough Rider knives. We got some pros, we got some cons. We're going to show a load of knives, and we just want to go through why we love them, some things we don't like about them. But mostly, we're just going to show a load of knives because that's what we like.
Going to show a load of Rough Rider knives. And
Some
by the
might
end of the
say
show,
about
you will
10.
be convinced as to why you should have a collection of them
Yes.
and not limit them to 5 like other pretender collectors on YouTube. Who would that
Yeah,
be, Slippy? Who would that
them
be?
phonies. Them
Pretenders.
phony collectors.
He allows himself the nicer end, high-end Rough Riders, but won't bother with the plain, ordinary ones. So a knife like this,
Unacceptable behavior.
a knife like this OG would never make.
But
Never
to be
make
fair,
her
though,
list.
that is the most expensive Rough Rider in the world.
This
For
one.
you. Yeah, for you it is.
Explain why.
Because you bought that one, then had to buy every single one after that.
What? Sow bellies? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have to. I chose to
Okay, but it's still the most expensive one.
because it started me down the path of
Yeah.
destruction,
Yeah, correct, yeah. Obsession,
obsession, living in a cardboard box on the street one day because
poverty, ramen noodles every day for dinner. You know how it goes.
No. See, that's just it though. Rough Riders are so affordable. You can have a mad collection of them and still not go broke.
One of the best things.
Right. All right. So
We
that
can
brings us into slide number 1. What do we got?
We have the pros to start with.
So, all right. So we've got the pros to start with. Before you start, or we're going to end on a sour note because of all the cons? Or are we just going to start showing all the knives as to why none of the cons really matter?
But no one really cares about the cons. There isn't really any cons. We've had to put some in there to be fair.
All right. Go ahead. Affordable.
Affordable. So really sort of decent price range. John will tell you the price range because I always get it wrong. So take it away, John.
Well, I'm just because I'm over here and I see the American prices, but they range from about $11 to $20 for the majority of the traditional patterns. Now you're going to get more expensive ones with some additional features, and we're not talking about Rough Rider Reserve today. We're strictly talking about Rough Riders, but you can get into more expensive ones, particularly if you're looking at some of the modern knives. But if we're talking about modern or the traditional knives, you're going to usually be between that $12 and $20 range.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of the ones that sort of go outside that price range?
Yeah, I mean, I've got like an APTA here, right? So this is a copper-handled APTA series. This is one of their modern traditional style knives. And, with the copper handles, I think it was probably right in that $30 to $35 range, somewhere in there.
But even in that price range, I'd still say that's very affordable.
Right.
And that's VG10 steel as well, right?
That's correct. So you get, upgraded steel, more modern styling, and of course, copper. Copper's not.
So what's not? There's nothing not to like about that. It's affordable. I'm guessing it's made really well.
It is. It's got great action. Now, I think I've gone ahead and replaced the blade, so this isn't the stock blade on this particular knife, but that's the great thing about these APTA series is you have those interchangeable blades. But again, this is not the typical example of what we're going to be talking about today. This is kind of outside that price realm that I'm talking about. We're talking more about the traditional knives. So you got an affordable one that you think is like a budget leader over there?
I do. I have one. I think this is the best sort of budget one I found here in the UK. I paid £15 for this, and this is the smooth blue Stockman, or smooth blue bone Stockman, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
It does have really good quality fit and finish. You will sort of get like the odd minor thing, like there's maybe this tiny little bit of gap in here, but nothing major. With a really wonderful blue smooth bone on both sides. Color matches really well. A little bit lighter on the pile side. But then, of course, you get the standard sort of blade you would. You have the large clip point, the sheep's foot blade, and then the spade blade on there as well.
Right.
And I think for the price, paying £15, you're getting 3 blades. The one that you're going to get is definitely get you through your whole day, even though it's not the best steel. You've got 3 blades, all for certain tasks. You've got a bone. The fit and finish on it, like this smooth. The transitions are fantastic. And for me, this is probably the best budget one I've picked up by a country mile, I would say, at least. And that was from Moonraker Knives here in the UK. Paid $14.99, and I think it was about £2 shipping. So, say £17, still in that sort of excellent budget range. One I would really recommend.
Yeah, and I would say the one I just showed earlier, like this old OG sow belly, would be a really good example of, you know, what you get for the money, because you get the bone handle, really good fit and finish, and I think these are only $13. So even on the lower spectrum of what the traditional ones are, it's on the lower end of that. So
does the obsession come included with that?
You know, that's kind of up to the buyer, but for me it was. Yeah, absolutely. But you have you know, natural bone handles, 3 blades. Usually, like multi-blade knives, the more blades you have, the more expensive they are. That's not the case necessarily.
No, some of the most budget ones with Rough Rider have multiple blades and still outstanding value.
And natural, you know, handle materials. So, yeah, there's some weird pricing going on there. I think a lot of it has to do with like some of the older knives are still priced lower. So they've been producing this one for a long time. Now, if this was a new introduction, it probably would have had a higher price point at the beginning. But because it's one of their old standards, they keep the price kind of down low.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. They've sort of left the price steady rather than just like jacking it up to meet the rest of the market. It's a good thing they've done with that. Like, you know, it keeps it sort of level and even. But yeah, onto the next point really is good quality for the cost. And the one I've got here really is in a league of its own, really. It's a pretty new one I picked up. It's the Arctic Fox Stockman, and it's immaculate. There's nothing really I can pick out on this that isn't fantastic. Pins are all flush. There's no gaps whatsoever. I mean, you can see how tight it is there. Spade blade, tiniest bit close to the liner, but if you look with a torch, you can see it's not actually touching. There's nice gaps between each one.
Why would you take a torch to your knife?
A flashlight to my knife to see. Jackass. You get the three satin blades. The grind is exceptional on all of them. There's no odd grinds. There's no wayward like grind lines going like that.
Yeah.
Nice and even.
That's a really new release. What did you pay for that in pound?
22.
22 pound. I think I paid maybe 20 American dollars or less.
For me, it's definitely worth it, and I really like the ones with the satin blade as well. Nothing against the mirror finish, but I think the satin blade really sort of makes it that step up, a bit classier look for me, really.
Well, it's harder to do the finish on a mirror finish, so they're probably saving money by your preference.
Yep, and the walk and talk on all these blades is phenomenal as well.
How many different patterns you got? It says loads of different traditional patterns to choose from. I've got a load of different ones to show you.
Yeah, I've got a huge selection of different patterns.
You want me to kick that off?
Go for it.
All right, so let me bring myself up. But here's one example. You've got a copper finish, like a titanium finish on the blades, like a rose titanium finish on the blades. They are, got a nice coating on there. So that's got that ribbing on there. Really different kind of style. Now this is an older one, But you can see that they don't all come in just the traditional flavors. You might have copper on the bolsters. You might have
they do have some unique designs and some unique takes on different designs. They definitely do like a good job with different stuff.
There's more of a traditional style in there. And, these come with the standard little mirror finish blades. So you've got variation there. They're not all going to be the same. That's nice to have some different options. Here's a bone handle one.
Yeah, it's nice that when they release different series, it's not just the same frame with a different color scale. There is differences throughout, which is what I really like about Rough Rider knives.
Yeah, it's true too. And there's a mirror finish on that one. So it's just there's a lot of different styles that you can get. So many different patterns. Like here's a whittler, right? You got a whittler. You got a muskrat. This is actually the carnivore jack.
Oh, with the serrated blade.
Yeah, with the serrated blade, and it's just they're always throwing different things out there. So you got the one standard blade there. And I'm trying to do this in the dark, so it's kind of hard to see. There we go. And you got the serrations on that one.
Yeah, and that one came with a slip as well, didn't it? I think.
Yeah, a little slip to put it in. Carry it with you. Use as a steak knife. So they're always doing just some different things. That comes in nice black smooth bone. You can see the color transitions in that.
Yeah, I have that example as well, and mine is done really well, like yours.
It does have that R on there, which we'll talk about later. But here's a different kind of Stockman. The square end bolsters, a little larger. Right, cinnamon stag bone. Another really, really good value knife. This one, because it's older, they seem to have it a little cheaper. And this is a really large one. This one's like a 4.
Yeah, that's really cheap over here as well. The large sort of yellow Stockman.
Yeah.
The prices sort of stayed the same here.
That one's, again, like I said, when they have the older ones. And then here's a smaller Barlow. I just reviewed that not long ago. Kind of compare that to a more traditional sized Barlow. You can see the difference in size there.
Yeah, and the quality on that small Barlow as well is fantastic.
And you get the T10 blades on this particular one, right? This is a carbon series. So you just have a lot of different blade options and a lot of different pattern options. They're always doing some pretty creative things. And you get a lot of traditional pattern styles to choose from. And they don't always come the cheapest. Here's one that's a little more expensive. So you got the fluted bolsters, right? This is from that Cherokee Feather series or something like that. Got the worked back spring. And, it didn't come in the traditional type of box. So you had this stone box that came in. You can see the cutout there.
Yeah, they went all out on that one.
So, just different things. Different little series will do some flashy things. Here's another example of another pattern.
Is that the cub, right?
Just a little cub lock back. Right? And, again, they have some little modern knives sometimes too that are fun. Now, some people are truly offended by this thing, like Patty. I don't know why he thinks.
It's obviously meant to be like a little novelty sort of thing, isn't it? It's not a serious knife.
It's not a serious knife, but it's fun. It's assisted.
A hell of an assist on that as well.
It flies out. It flies on out there. But it's just different little things that they do. Very affordable. They went on to make like 3 or 4 different ones of these now. I think they're still making different ones.
Still more. We've got Angry Watermelon and other stuff.
I don't think they're done yet. And then with the Barlow, you have a single blade option as well, right? So not just
that particular Barlow. I think one of the best ones they've made. I think to date.
Right. So you got the single blade.
T10 carbon steel as well.
Yeah. They've got some really nice smaller patterns, some not so much, but this Peanut's pretty nice. Comes with a little thicker blades than some of the others. I don't have like a ton of peanuts, but this one's pretty cool. You got a 2-blade option on this one. So if you're not wanting to spend a ton, like on a case or something like that, this does give you some options.
So that's pretty much what I did for the peanut. I bought myself a Rough Rider peanut to see if I'd like the pattern first, and then went on to buy other ones from there, things like that. But they do make some like fantastic budget options.
Well, they got sow bellies, which I love, and here's another kind of fancy one, the Ocean Wave series.
Yeah, my personal favorite.
And I mean, the depth in that is pretty amazing.
But it moves in the light as well when you move it around.
It seems to, yeah. So, again, it's not like just a super basic thing. And okay, of course, you got the, other options and even sow bellies. You got a lockback option, single blade. Doesn't have to be just the standard 3-blade option. And, just goes on and on with all the different patterns that you can get. Here's a doctor's knife, or this is the pipe doctor, right? So you got the little pipe cleaner on there, and then your standard like long sheep's foot style blade, which is it's not something you see on every knife. Look at the long pull on that. I mean, it's kind of fun. So I mean, just always have another pattern to choose from.
They just make so many, and there's just so many to pick from.
Yeah, and here's the lockback, right? Again, just a really basic white smooth bone. But, for what you pay for this compared to, say, a buck, $4.48.
How does that compare to like a buck? Is it like 112 size or 110 size?
This is a 110 size. Yeah, this particular one. So, and these, I think, are right in that little over 20 range, maybe like 20 to 22, somewhere in there. So
it looks beautifully made as well, like really nice bolsters on there.
Yeah, here's another option in size, right? You got your Granddaddy Barlow. Beautiful handle material on this one, right?
Is that the ram's horn?
Yeah, it's ram's horn. There's the blade on that. You can see the blade edge. And born. So, you compare that to a regular Barlow.
That dwarfs it.
Oh, yeah. Size comparison there. So, yeah. Back to you, Slippy. But
just a lot of different options you can pick from.
Yeah,
there's so much to choose from. And you even showed there as well the different handle materials, the variation between.
Right.
They do some crazy stuff with the handle materials. I haven't got any that are too fancy. Some of the ones I do enjoy is the black and blue series with that sort of saw cut blue bone. You can see the color transitions there as well. You have like the sort of like greeny color here into the blue.
Mm-hmm.
They did a really good job keeping that the same on the back. You can have ones that are more sort of modern in design, like we have the Wasp series here, which is the yellow and black micarta. Really sort of modern one. You can see like the different ridges of it. Really well done. Quite a unique one as well. And then even onto stuff. What else have I got here? They have the Stonework series. There's different types of stoneworks. You've got like the pearl, the abalone, different bits and pieces in there as well. Same on both sides.
Malachite green. And
yeah. Even onto stuff like the really newer ones. They have like the red and black G10 on this new Red Fox series. I know this is one that we both enjoy. I know John's particularly fond of this one. Just really well done. Excellent knife. One thing I would like to see them start doing though, John, is wooden scales. What do you think about that?
It wouldn't hurt. I think like Roper, the Cattleman series, they have different wooden. And they can offer them for pretty affordable price, so I don't see why they couldn't do it.
I think that'd be a really cool option.
Yeah.
Even like got one here, it's quite an older one. It's an old sort of like Winterbottom bone style canoe.
Yeah.
with like the jig bone on there.
It's like a worm jigging. What do you call that?
Yeah. So that they've been doing it since they started, really. But it's not been sort of like, oh, we'll start doing interesting patterns. Since as much as I've been buying them, they've always had intricate patterns, different handle materials, and that sort of leads on then to being multiple series to collect. So each different handle material is a different series, and then the different series has different patterns in it, and then you get into this sort of jigsaw piece of obsession. Where for me personally, I like to try and collect the different series like in its entire eternity. So I have got started getting all of the cinnamon stag series. I've got a couple more of these left to collect. But that does sort of lend you on to patterns maybe you might not be the best or enjoy the most. But for the most part, I'm buying it because I really enjoy the series. So you have that excellent sort of stag bone there with the cinnamon colouring. You do get T10 carbon steel on this as well. And this is a really sort of hefty knife. Definitely a big chunky work knife. Other ones from that series as well. Another favourite.
Showed the Barlow just a little bit ago.
Yeah, the half orc, another fantastic one from that series, single bladed, excellent action. Pretty much bang down the center. Again, you get the carbon steel, strop it up at the end of the day, and it's like hair popping sharp. Yeah, John's got the Barlow there. Just fantastic knives from the series. Another one in that series.
That goes on to the easy to maintain part of what we're saying there, is because that 440A is so easy to sharpen. I mean, I think like maybe the only easier thing to sharpen would be maybe like 1095.
Yeah, it's so easy to keep.
It is sharpen. Very easy to maintain it.
A lot of my Rough Riders I haven't actually sharpened. I just sort of strop them every now and then.
Right.
And it doesn't even take that much. Maybe like 5 to 10 passes on a strop, and it's like razor sharp. Plus, the 440A is stain resistant, so it doesn't rust. Just got to give it a little bit of oil every now and then, and that's pretty much it. There's no fancy maintenance needed. Right. Maybe with a natural bone material, maybe sort of like oil them up or like hydrate them every so often. But apart from that, it's pretty much use the knife, just don't abuse it, and then it's going to be fine. And
so easy to maintain, and they're easy to sharpen.
Well, even their T10. Sorry, John. Even their T10 carbon steel is easy to maintain.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't want the patina, just put a bit of oil on the blades. But I mean, I've never had a problem like that Barlow John just showed. I use mine all the time, and the blade's nearly black.
Yep. I try not to let any of my patina, but when it starts to happen and I didn't want it to, then I just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
Kind of way I am with mine. But as far as like replacement, I've had, that kind of gets, we're kind of getting into the cons now, so we can go ahead and switch over to there. But with the limited warranty, a lot of this negative stuff can be alleviated by the fact that we've got the warranty, right? So I've had Stockmans that didn't really close all that well. One of the most notorious for not being able to close well is like this jumbo Stockman. Like I've had more problems with this particular pattern probably than any of the others. And
was it the coral snake one you had to send a couple back from? Was that the one you had to send a few back?
I think I did have to send the coral snake back, but there was another one that was the jigged bone that was that bad too. So a couple of different ones in this series. But, just the cranking, it was tough to do, and they didn't get it right. Kind of bring this up. So
that central blade is cranked hard.
Yeah, see how hard they have to crank that, the amount of degree of angle on that. So it's just one of those knives where they probably should have shortened the bottom blade here a touch, give themselves more room.
Even that, they even could have put like a little spacer, the bolster side of the middle blade, and put it more towards the center. That would have helped.
Yeah, that's correct. Because you see this little gap here that they could have maybe moved the blade up a little bit.
Yeah.
But, it's just not the most well-designed placement of the blades. So you do have a little more problems with that. And not all patterns going to be perfect. It's, you're talking about a budget knife, but again, you get the warranty. They have no problem if you have a problem with them returning them and getting a replacement. So it's a not something you want to have to do, but at least there's a resolution, right? There's a compromised knife. You can still take care of the situation without too much hassle. I mean, literally just have to call them up. And
yeah, even the same here in the UK. Anyone that sells them, they just say they've got a lifetime warranty. If you've got a problem, just let us know and we'll exchange it for you,
right.
or we'll swap it out, or we'll give you a refund, whatever. That's one of the best things about the company.
Yeah. And again, like the hit and miss quality control, I feel like I've kind of navigated my way through the minefield of which ones are a little more consistent quality control wise than others. Definitely that Jumbo Stockman's one you got to worry about. What other ones did you have any particular problems with?
I've been very lucky. All the ones I have, I've sort of been not got any that are major problems, but I have a trapper that has some gapping on it, and two of my stock ones have blade rub on the central blades.
Mm-hmm.
But I have the cinnamon stock trapper here, and you don't know if you can see it very well. Maybe at the top here, you can see some light through those springs, and then there's some gapping down by the bolster.
Yeah, you can see
nothing too major, but it's just a bit of a shame when this is one of the more expensive series, and yet it's coming with quality issues like this. Is a bit of a letdown. But on the other hand, like there isn't any blade wobble. They are rock solid. But what it looks like to me, if you look at the top there, the blade is actually wider than the spring. You see that?
Yep.
So that just feels like something they could have, sorted out before they produced the knife, and then you wouldn't have this big gap across the top.
Yeah, so something like that, you might have a consistent problem because the blade width's not going to change that much, I wouldn't think.
Same at the bottom here as well.
Right.
It's a shame because it is a nice knife. I really like the handle material. They've done a great job on this one. It's just a shame with the fit and finish. I mean, if you look from sort of here down, it's pretty much perfect. It's just a shame that they didn't sort of notice the blade thickness compared to the springs before, the knife was released or before they went into manufacture.
Yeah, and if we're being fair, I mean, I guess we have to pick on Case for a little bit here. But if you're going to quibble about the quality control of the Rough Riders, when they're so easy to swap back, it's literally just a phone call and, maybe 15 minutes of your time at most. Compare that with the situation with Case, and there's no guarantees you're going to get, the perfect knife from Case either. So, and they're not nearly as easy to, exchange. So,
especially not here in the UK. Like, it's limited supplies here. I would say they're quite a lot more expensive in the UK in comparison. Like the markup on the Rough Rider is minimal; it's a couple of pounds, whereas certain Case ones, like the Sodbuster, for example, I'm paying close to 50 for like a standard one, like with the true sharp steel. I know on SMKW you can get them for like $30.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a little more expensive to go the Case route for sure.
Mm.
And again, like what you're spending on the knife, you can always use them as users. You never really have to have the excuse that I use for like some more expensive knives. Well, I've got enough other knives I can use that I don't need to use the expensive ones. You're never going to say that necessarily about a Rough Rider. Now, I do have that whole entire sow belly collection that's pretty much just a display. But how many of the same pattern do I really need? I have a really strong number of users that I use quite frequently. I've got the black and red fox series, the red fox series that I have a sow belly in that as well that I use quite a bit. But you never have to worry about
as well. Like some of the ones you've got in that collection, they're not really available anymore. So it makes sense to be in a collection rather than a user.
I guess what I'm saying is like even some of the cons, like because they're not always going to be the greatest QC, and you don't want to bother with it. You can just use that as a user. You lose it, it's not going to be a disaster.
Yeah, it doesn't break the bank. They're cheap enough that if you lose it or break it, you can just get another one.
Yeah. So, and even ones that have been abused, I know that I wouldn't recommend this. It's not something I would try to take advantage of. But I know people who have abused their knives and then still taken advantage of the warranty and gotten a replacement. So,
but I mean, if you're using the knife to pry, or if you're like you're beating on the sorry, John, if like you're beating on the tang of the knife or things like that, or using the blade to pry up, like you don't want to be claiming on the warranty for stuff like that. That's user error rather than the product's error.
But yeah, I'm not recommending that, but I know people who have done that.
Mm.
So what else have you got there?
We got edge grinds can be wonky. I guess that sort of comes in along with the QC. I do have one I picked up recently. So I've got the Sow Belly Trapper in the Texas Lone Star series. So you can see the grind on this side, pretty much even all the way along. No real big gripes. But then you go on to the other side and you get to the tip, and then you have that absolute, don't know what happened up here.
Yeah.
Like really over sharpened at that tip. It's a shame because the rest of the blade is pretty much uniform all the way along. It's just right up here at the tip. I do have a couple that I like.
The thing I say about edge grinds though, it's like, just got done watching a video where somebody showed their buck and the edge grind was everywhere. Who just did that video? It's escaping me now.
Was it Jersey? Was it that Larin?
No, it was Jolly Peanut.
Oh, okay.
Jolly Peanut bought a Duke 500. Had a really funky blade grind on it. Right?
Well, like real wobbly job.
Really bad. It was bad enough that I wouldn't have accepted it. So I'm pointing out here is that it doesn't really matter the brand. I've had wonky blade grinds from every brand that I've ever bought. It just depends on how the guy's doing that day. It really does, because
was it a Friday evening or a Tuesday afternoon? Which one was it?
Those seem to get past QC over every other aspect of the knife, like gaps, fewer problems with gaps than blade grinds, 100%. So I don't think it's unique to Rough Rider is my point. And again, if you don't like it, call them up.
Send it back.
Get everybody else. Can't say that about everybody.
I mean, you did that with your Red Fox, didn't you? You had a bad one. Didn't it have blade wrap?
It did have a bit of blade wrap too. That's the only Fox series knife that really had any issues with. And I didn't really notice the blade wrap until after I did the review, but fortunately. But yeah, it wasn't bad, but it was enough. I would have had to take a little off the blade. But
they replaced it, so
yeah, no problem. And
next one.
Go ahead. I was going to say the dirtiness on the knives. That's just a product of them, getting stuff out the door. Some people are more annoyed with that than others. If you get used to cleaning your knives, which I do, I pretty much clean out, I'd say 85% of any new knife I buy. So
same for me.
It's just kind of become a ritual for me. It's just something I do. So some people don't like that. Some people don't like the feel of the grittiness in there when they first get the knife. They want it to be perfect. To me, that comes along with just the maintenance of the knife. To me, it's just all part of it.
Yeah, for me, I think the dirtiest one I had was probably the Copperhead in this sort of series, the Cinnamon Stag Bone series. It was particularly sort of, I wouldn't say it was gritty, but the polishing compound they used was like all in the pivot. There's a tiny bit in there now, but I cleaned most of it out and the action is much better. But it's just something you sort of have to do with this sort of knife. But it wasn't horrendous, but it was enough that you're looking at it and you go, right, well, it's black in there, so I'm gonna have to clean it out. And the action was awful before I did that. now you can see the action is much better.
I've had similar sort of issues with old timer knives, where I had to clean them really, really rigorously. I've had very small percentage, and you got to understand, I probably bought 300 Rough Riders or more. I had a very small percentage where the amount of compound in there was enough that you could shake the knife downward and a clump of it would fall
Clumps
out.
would fall out. I've had that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that common, but I've seen it. And yeah, if that was in the pivot, that would definitely affect the action.
So, yeah, if you think you've got a compound in the pivot, it's going to wear it away quicker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, the action was so intolerable that I wouldn't have left it that way.
Yeah. It's like having sand in the pivot.
Some people it doesn't bother, I guess, but to me, I don't know. I'm a stickler for the action, so I gotta have.
Yeah, for me, I've got to try and get it as close to glassy smooth as I can. I know that's not always possible, but some Rough Rider knives, you can really get it on. Like, for example, I have the Masonic Canoe, and that is glassy smooth. Like, you can barely feel it when you open and close it. It just feels like running a nail across a sheet of glass.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best action I've been able to get out of a Rough Rider, is that canoe.
Yeah. Yeah, there's particular series too that are not series, but patterns that seem to have better action, and the Copperhead has just got fantastic action on all the ones that I've got.
Yeah,
especially
the new series here, the Texas Star. This one is the best action of any Copperhead I've got. The pulls are John approved. They're at least a 7 on both blades. And I didn't really have to clean this one out at all. I just gave it a bit of oil out of the box. And, nice solid half stop, nice snap into the close as well.
Just a little audio pleasure here.
Little audio, sure. By doing it close to the mic. It's just the walk and talk on this knife is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the pull is so strong on like the Skinner blade. Sometimes I can't open it properly. I'd say it's at least an 8 on mine for the Skinner blade.
Yeah, it's just one of those that's really consistent.
Yeah,
and
they do a great job on all that.
The series, like I showed earlier, with really great action on it, and just.
It's just the noise that I like. It makes me happy.
Doesn't that make you smile?
Yeah. Like it drives my friends and my parents mad, and I'm just sat at home, opening and closing the knife with a snap.
Right.
But
what are you doing? Stop the noise.
I'm fidgeting. Leave me alone.
All right. So I guess imported. That just comes down to the buyer, really.
For me, the import doesn't bother me in the slightest, as long as they make a good quality knife. Yeah. Not bothered where it came from.
I just think we live in a global economy now, and I know that I would prefer to buy an American-made knife, but your options are limited, especially in the budget range. The availability of all these knives and all these different patterns that I enjoy. I just feel like if I didn't buy them, then I would be, You'd
have a very
depriving myself of enjoyment. I would be depriving myself of enjoyment. That's as simple as that. And I wouldn't be able to have the collection that I have without Rough Riders. So
no, same with me.
Again, to me, it just comes down to your acceptability of kind of the reality of knife making today.
Yeah. Without Rough Riders, my collection would easily be half the size.
Right.
Easily.
But I'm not a believer of that point. Okay, so we got availability on UK.
Yeah, it's mainly sort of a UK thing, but it's just down to them being, they're an SMKW product. They're sort of really marketed in the US. We can get them here, but if you want a newer series, you pretty much have to special order it through a merchant. Like I order mine through Heine Haynes, which is how I got the Red Fox series and all the new ones. Mm-hmm. They do stock, but they never stock the entire series. They might have 1 or 2, sometimes 3 from each series. For example, back to the Black and Blue series, they only ever had 2 in the series. They only ever had the Congress and the Sow Belly. Okay. They never seem to get like the whole run of knives, which as a business point of view, I get it. It makes sense because you're going to want to buy the ones that people are going to buy.
All right.
But for a collector's sort of point of view, it's a bit infuriating.
Yeah, but as you said, I mean, there's ways and means around it. You can special order, and it's no more expensive to do that when you're going through Hottie Haynes, right? So it's not
because
like
he gets them ordered in with another order, so that he doesn't pay postage for them. They just get lumped in with another delivery. So
right.
You pay the same price as if it would be on the site already in the UK. There's no extra charges or anything. It takes maybe 5 to 7 days to get to Heine, and then 2 more to get to you. So like 9-day turnaround for a special knife from America is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible, actually. And you don't have to worry about the customs, right?
Nope.
Because it's coming from Heine, so none of that's worried about.
Nothing like that. So you haven't got to worry your knife's going to get to you or
only on their end. You don't have to worry about it for yourself. So the RT era, that was a major issue for a long time, wasn't it? That was probably of the cons. I would say this is the most legitimate gripe. Just the RT bolster on some of these knives, it hung around way too long.
For example, the Wasp series for me would have been infinitely better without that on. If you look at it from this side.
Yeah. I mean, you have a direct comparison to look at to see what the improvement would have been.
Like, imagine this: no RT bolster, no shield. Look how much better that looks. There's just loads of different patterns that would have just been absolutely fantastic.
Here's another example here.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't need it. Doesn't need it. I mean, even without the shield, I mean, that's a pretty big shield, really, to be honest.
It's a large shield for such a thin knife.
Yeah. So it's just a lesson to knife makers. Like, sometimes less is more. I've always felt that way. Don't add anything unless it adds to the knife. If it doesn't, then don't, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone.
Another example here is the T10 denim micarta Barlow. The R that side, no R.
Yeah. And the R on that one's so large too.
It's like a third of the bolster. Just think it looks so much better without it. Nice smooth lines, like a nice clean. Right. It looks like a much more expensive knife than it is without that R on it. Don't you think?
Yeah, and let me say something about that too. There's, like, if you do a good stamp on the knife, sorry about that. Let me bring myself up. Something like that, right? I mean, you've got something take up a large amount of real estate on there, but that's an attractive stamp, right? I don't have a problem with that.
No, it's a nice horseshoe. It's nice and simple. It's it's done intricately. It's really nice. It's not just a giant R someone's just stamped on there.
So I mean, if you look at that side compared to that, it's just not obtrusive like the R is. Yeah. So it's not just about having something there or not there. It's about what you put there too. So yeah, I just wish they'd never done that, and especially not for as long as they did do it.
Yeah, there's so many different series of knives that have been so much better without that R on there. And I think the one we can agree on the most is the black and blue series. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the worst in terms of the way.
I know I've shown it already in this video, but imagine it without the R. Look how much better it looks this side compared to with the R and the shield.
It's just shockingly.
If they'd have lost both the shield and the R, it'd have been a fantastic knife.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that they carried on for so long with them.
Yeah, but they've gone away, so I guess we can kind of ease up on that argument, right? Because
yeah, it's pretty much non-existent now because all the new releases since the tortoise shell, I believe, is where it started, which is this series. There's been no R on the bolster.
Well,
so
there was a couple of carryovers, right? Like the tough tag, but that was just because that series was delayed, probably.
Yeah. So this was the first sort of new series that didn't use it.
And the cinnamon.
Saying that though, the cinnamon stag didn't use it, but that was sort of like in the middle, wasn't it? It wasn't really a.
Yeah,
they were still using them around it.
Completely gone yet, I don't think. Yeah. So, but yeah, and then the other little small complaint we have here at the end is you have to understand why it keeps going back and forth, but it gets confusing if you don't really understand the story behind it. So let me briefly tell you the story. So it started out as an I, or excuse me, it started out as a Y, but it was only kept that way for a short period of time. Then they went to an I. The reason being was because I guess the ROI spelling was reserved for like something trademarked with the Teddy Roosevelt Rough Rider group or something associated with that. So they had to switch to the Y. And then, or I'm sorry, to the I. It started as the Y, went to the I. And then at some point, they were able to then start using the Y again. Now, that is the correct spelling. That's the current spelling, but they've had other production issues on knives that were made in the era of the RI spelling. Probably already had all the designs produced with the I on it already. So when you see these Arctic Fox series with the I spelling, it's because they were designed during that transition phase. So you'll still have new knives with the I spelling.
Yeah, so the Arctic Fox, the Desert Fox, the Red Fox, all of these still have the RI spelling on the box and on the tang. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. It's going to come out that clear. Probably not.
Small to see that, but
yeah, it's too small. But it is an RI spelling on there.
Do we have one near me? Here's our Desert Fox box. I'll just show you this. So this is a modern one made, and you can see the RI spelling here at the top. So, yeah, it just goes back and forth based on some, I guess, uncontrollable circumstances for Rough Rider. So it is what it is. No big deal. I mean, who cares? Spelled one way or the other. But just for consistency's sake, it's a little annoying.
But I think, as I sort of like overall, really, our impressions of Rough Rider knives are please buy these knives. Like, they're such good quality for what you're getting. Yeah, there is the odd hit and miss. There is the odd things that aren't great about them, but I feel the pros greatly outweigh the cons. Do you feel the same, John?
I do, and I feel like even some of the cons are just so easy to dismiss when you consider the pros.
Yeah, I mean, so like we got
the limited warranty. I mean, limited warranty eliminates so many of the cons just by being able to replace the knife should you have a problem.
Yeah, well, it removes the quality control, the edge grinds, the blade rub. It removes those three straight away.
Right.
The RT era is another one that's gone now, so it shouldn't really be a con. Unless you're into collecting every single Rough Rider, then I get it. Well, might still be.
Yeah, the availability. There's a workaround for the availability. I mean, might cost you a little more if, say, you're looking for an older one, right? You might have to kind of go through a USA buyer. But to be fair, I found a very, very rare knife in Switzerland, thanks to Matt.
Very reasonably priced.
It's not always the case. I mean, you might be able to find an older one, in Europe somewhere, like we did. So you never know.
Yeah, and the spelling as well. It's not really a con. It would be nice if they would just stick to one spelling and just carry on with it. But
it just makes me chuckle more than anything, and it's something to kind of laugh about when you're like back and forth. Like, what's it going to be spelled this week? You know?
which is the newest one? Is it RI or RY?
Right. So,
but again, like for me, if we go back and look at the pros quickly, because I think all of these here are really strong points why you should be sort of investing in Rough Rider knives, purchasing them, collecting them. Maybe you just want a cheap work knife. These are all great reasons to pick them up. Yeah. If it gets broken, you can replace it easily. The blade
well, you touched on this a little bit, but I would probably added it as a complete bullet point in this. I've talked about this in the past, but I always use Rough Riders exploratory knives. In other words, you want to try a pattern out that you've never tried before. It's a great way to get into a pattern that you're not familiar with, whether or not you're going to like to carry it. And this is a good way to find that out, maybe before you move on to a more expensive knife.
That's exactly what I did with the peanut. I bought the white smooth bone Rough Rider peanut.
Right.
And then worked out I liked the pattern, and then I bought myself a case.
There you go.
Nice 2 little blade design. Nice little clip blade on there.
Right.
Nice little pen blade as well. Nice little simple, elegant little 5th pocket knife. But for me, that's Rough Rider. They're the gateway knife, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. So all in all, I think what we're saying is
Rough Rider's good.
Don't dismiss Rough Riders.
No.
Give them a try. They may not be the best, but you can do a lot worse.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with them, there's a potential solution to that. So I think that's going to do it for me.
Yep, that's everything for me.
Any final thoughts?
Buy more Rough Rider knives. Complete a collection. Get a series. Doesn't matter what you do, just buy some and enjoy them. Even if you use them as a gateway to explore more patterns, like John said, I just think they're a great company. They've got great products, and the variety really is there. There's something for everyone.
Yeah. And to me, they're like the perfect user knife. Not going to be expensive. Try them out. You break one, not a massive, loss. Can be replaced most times. And the wide availability in the United States, loads of different patterns to choose from. Just a lot of really great reasons to collect them and buy them. I think they do a lot of creative things with their series. They're always trying new things. So I like that. And I always look forward to them new ones coming out each year. So, but that's going to do it for me, guys. We will be having a live next week. Slippy had to work this week, so that's why we're pre-recorded.
Unfortunately.
But next week we will be live again, so we hope to see you then. 10:30 a.m. Central Time on Sundays and 4:30 p.m. UK time. So we will see you next week live. Thanks for watching. I am Thrifty, and he is
Slippy.
And we are out. Take care.
See you guys.